All right. So as we've gone over already, the requirement of the project is to make sure that you're drawing one of the pictures that I've shared with you. Okay. So as I pull this up for us, let me share my screen. Sorry, I get a couple different things. Okay, so the picture that I chose for my example was this one. Okay, um, and let me show you some mistakes that I made, and then show me how I tried to address them and fix them, and how I try to do some things a little bit differently as well. Okay, so let me flip my camera for you real quick. All right. So, looking at the picture that I have for you right here, and looking at the camera that I have in front of you, can anybody tell me a really glaring, not necessarily a mistake, but something that might have made this a little bit difficult to do? Something that I did incorrectly? Nothing. Okay. So if you look, this is the paper that I have here is taller than it is wide. Okay. And when I started drawing, I made mine, I didn't use my paper wider than it is tall. So what ended up happening was on the right side of the screen here, you see that I can't see the edge of my building. Well, I just kind of had to guess over here. And that's what I ended up doing. I just kind of guessed where the end of the building was because of how I kind of set this up initially. Okay. So that was something that I should have done differently. I should have done it this way. I did it on purpose to show you guys that. Okay. Now, a tip that I did, and I forgot to tell you guys this last time, so I apologize if you're still working on this. Maybe this can help you a little bit. Is my vanishing points are off my paper. So what I did was I taped pieces of paper to my drawing so I could have a steady vanishing point off of my paper to get everything else drawn. Okay, so I went like that. My vanishing point was way out here. This one over here, my vanishing point was way out there. And then I started laying out my drawing. Now, another thing that I want to point out to hopefully relieve some stress for you all is if you look at this, this looks like my picture that I'm looking at, okay? But this isn't perfect by any means, all right? If I look at this, like for instance, see how the door, my door is like right underneath this edge of the building, okay? Well, in the picture, if I go right underneath it, it's not going to be, if the door's not there, the door's way over here. So my perspective is slightly off, right? Like in my sizes and my distances and stuff like that. But when you look at it, I can say, oh, this is that picture, okay? That's part of being an artist that I feel isn't conveyed enough. So many things we, when we're being an artist, so many things we feel that we have to do it exactly like the picture. Well, rarely are we going to have our picture side by side with the drawing that we did of it. Okay. So it's important that you keep that in mind as you're doing this. I'm not grading you on how perfect it is compared to the original image. I'm grading you on your understanding of the concepts, which we can see here. Okay. I have all my lines going back to the same vanishing point. I have the structural things are pretty similar. Okay. But the big thing is that I have the window, like there, the window is over here. I have this gap drawn, like right here. Okay. Hold on one second. I have the bottom underneath here that I'm ready to draw over on this side. Okay. So I have this little wall right here. So I have some of those anatomical things. All right. Now, again, this is what your project should end up looking like when you're done with it, is you have your structure. Like I said yesterday, we don't necessarily have to draw all the plants and all the things like that. But I have my penciled in structure, and I'm ready to add my value, which is this final step, okay? So here's the last kind of the kicker to this, the last add to this. We are going to separate this drawing kind of like a stained glass window, okay? So what that means is I'm going to draw lines across this, really, really light lines, and I'm going to use my pencil. Sorry, I'm erasing some lines that I don't want to have here for right now for the purpose of this demonstration. You can choose any way you would like. You can use organic lines, which means like they're kind of curvy lines, or you can use sharp-edged lines, okay? But if you're going to use sharp-edged lines, straight lines, I would use my straight edge, okay? So what I'm going to do is once I have this kind of laid out, I'm going to choose mine to be organic lines. So I'm going to go like this. And the reason that I'm going to use organic lines is I want to make sure that I know what is my drawing and what's not my drawing. So I'm going to come through this whole thing. I'm going to try to like evenly space these. You'll take that from Ronan, please, whatever you need. I'm going to come, let's see, I'm going to make kind of a curved one, like a circle up here. And then I'm going to go one more kind of through this middle. That's about right. I might do one more like this, just to kind of cut this one up. Okay, so now what you see that I've done is I've sectioned this whole thing off. And then what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to start adding value to it, okay? I don't want to have, like I said, too many sections on here. I don't want to be like too cluttered or too difficult to mess with. But what I'm going to then do is I'm going to come through and I'm going to pick certain sections that I just made, and I'm going to add value with my pencil. And then other sections, I'm going to add value with my pen, okay? So it's going to end up being a mix of pen value and pencil value. Now, to make sure it looks consistent, please do not smudge your pencil with your finger, because it's going to look a lot different than the pen one. We want to use our difference in pressure with our pencil, okay? But for instance, looking at this one, I'll say like this wall right here, I want to put that tree shadow that we have, okay? And I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I don't like how tiny this screen is when I'm sharing it, okay? So I'm going to stop presenting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is really lightly with my pencil, I'm going to go through and I'm just going to kind of like, it's not perfect by any means, but I'm going to sketch out like what I think this kind of tree shadow looks like. Okay, it's kind of like the outline of it. Can y'all see that? And then I'm going to start adding my value to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say like maybe I'm going to make this chunk right here, sorry, the top chunk, I'm going to make that be pencil. And so I need to, let's see, I'm going to flatten my pencil a little bit, flatten the tip of my pencil. Because this up here is all going to be a really light value. So I'm going to lightly kind of come over here and add some value here. There's a little bit of shadow up on top, and then it kind of turns white as it comes down. So I'm going to add that value, and then for this shadow right here, I'm going to come through and I'm going to add my value like this, and try to do this a little bit fast. There are white chunks inside of this, so I'm going to make sure that I leave some of those white chunks in there. And I'm not looking directly at my paper. Oh, I'm sorry, my image. So it's not going to be like perfect. But I'm going to go like this. I'm trying to speed this up a little bit. I still want to get rid of my lines. So I'm going to make sure that as I come through this, I'm going to color over, draw over those lines. Like so. And then I'm going to take this value, because it says stretch over here a little bit more. This, my sky, is like 2 or so, maybe slightly lighter than what my shadow is. So I'm going to come get rid of this line by adding this sky value here. Like that. Let's kind of get rid of that line. And then that's a decent start to this. Okay. I'd spend some more time cleaning some stuff up, but for the most part, that's looking all right. Okay. Obviously, if I came over here, I would make this a lot darker. There's a little reflection that I have here. So that's going to be a lighter spot than the rest of it. And then all of this is going to be a darker, almost like that, well, darker than this blue sky is. So I'm going to go with more pencil pressure. Like so. I'm going to get rid of this line so I make sure I have that edge there. I'm sorry if this is boring to you. Okay, there's that little bit of a reflection, so I'm going to leave that kind of light. I'll kind of blend that in a little bit. Okay, and this looks pretty solid for right now. Okay, so I have this kind of corner done. Let me see if I can pull this in for you a little bit more. Sorry, I gotta mess around with my camera thingy. It's not gonna work. Like this. Spin you around. Whoa. Whoa. There you go. There we go. All right. So now I have that kind of circle filled in right here. Okay. This shape. So now I'm going to go over to this next piece. And what I'm going to do, I believe it was in this class, the question was asked the other day, can we do it in color? Yeah, you can on the pen side. Just use different color pens. So I'm going to use blue pen right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blue pen and I'm going to continue this shadow of this tree. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to get my pen stroke and I'm going to use like almost like scribbles to kind of add this value like the hatching. Okay. I'm going to come through this line. I'm going to go like this. And I'm going to hatch it, but not just with solid lines. I'm going to use, like I said, like little scribbles. And what you'll end up seeing is that at some point, it's not for all of you people who are super precise like I am. It's not going to be a perfect like a checkerboard unless you make it a checkerboard. It's going to end up having some little like some of these might be like blend into the same one, meaning I'll use pen on like two that are side by side, but that's totally fine. Just about having the variation. Okay. So I'm going to come through and I'm going to do my scribbles. I'm going to add some lines. I'm going to add some scribbles, get some darker spots. Hopefully make it look like a shadow. And there's more shadow down here that I will add to this part. And then I'll put some really dark spots. And then up here, there's a little bit of darkness, but not really a ton. So I'll just kind of put a couple lines to show that. And then I'll come back with my pencil on the other side and add some lines, kind of showing that the darkness transitions over. Okay. So this is pen. So that means this next one out here would probably end up being a pencil spot. And this one would be pen. So if this one's going to be pen, what I can do is I can come through and I'll go like this, because this is my blue sky. So I'll go really light pressure with my pen. And then I'll take these lines all the way across. And that will be more of my blue sky. Okay, this one over here will also be blue. And then this will be, again, my pencil. And I'll come through and I'll add my pencil. And I'll just kind of keep going back and forth, adding the value little by little to my drawing. Okay? Now, there is one point of contention that can be slightly difficult when we are doing our drawings. Let's see. Let me share my screen again. Olivia, no, you won't have to. Sorry, I'm finally seeing the questions. You won't have to have the same number amount of it. It's not about that. It's about kind of what the look's going to be like. The pen and pencil today don't make sense to me. If this doesn't make sense to you, or is it clearer now? When you say that the pen and pencil today don't make sense to me, together, the pen and pencil together don't make sense to me. Does it make more sense now that I'm drawing it and showing you? Oh, why I'm using both? Because what's going to happen is when it's all done, it's going to look really cool and interesting. There's going to be a combination of the two of them. And also because it's your test to show that you learned and actually did the value with pencil and you did value with pen earlier. So this is your test of it. Okay. So when you're all said and done, like I'd say maybe like 5 or 6 lines. The thing that ends up happening is if you only do like 4 lines, then it just looks like it's not as interesting. To answer your question, Grant, you only do like 4 lines or so. It's kind of like, oh, okay, like you just kind of cut it in half. When you can do a lot of them, so you have like some good crossover, like right here, it ends up becoming a lot more interesting to look at when you're done with it. It will when you're all done. Even if you have like an all white building, you will have situations where you can add value to it. Okay. If you look at the picture here that I'm sharing, I was talking with one of your classmates yesterday. When there's glass and the glass has like a reflection to it, or you can see it, the trick about drawing glass and adding value to glass is you don't draw the glass. Okay. So like right here, there's a panel of glass here. Now, I can't see the glass, but it looks like it because there's these little dark shades and dark shapes there. So when I'm drawing it, I'm just going to add these little slight dark shapes. Over here, I'm not drawing glass. I'm drawing a reflection. So I have my dark shadows, and then I have this light space in here that is something over on this side that's reflected, okay? But I'm just drawing the reflection. Same thing here with the value. I know that there was windows here because I look at this opening and it's really dark because I can see inside, but this is reflecting the sky. So I just make these little lines, these shapes, and I make sure that's a really light value and this is a darker value as I go through, okay? In terms of if you don't think yours has a lot of value or not, I think the lightest, I mean, they all have, like, if it's like this one, this has value because I can see this edge. And why I can see this edge is this side is darker than this side. And this side is also darker than the sky is. So you have 3 different shades right there. There's obviously black right here. I wouldn't hold you accountable to drawing all of the different rocks, the shadows of all the different rocks. But definitely there's a lot of value even in this one. Let's see. Same thing here. You have value with the light coming from this side, shadow on this side. There's a ton of value in this one. That's one of the more difficult ones. This one, there's a value in just the table itself, right? There's a dark gray, a lighter gray, kind of almost a 2, and then like a 1 in our scale that we had with value transition right there. This one has a lot of value underneath it. We have shadows, and then the light source obviously on this left-hand side. Look at this right here. This is kind of difficult, but if you want to really impress me, add this little rectangle of reflection from the pool. There's a pool up here, and there's water reflecting up on the base of this building. This one I'm obviously going over right now. Also, a lot of value. Your whites, your 1s are like right here, and then your really darks are down here and up in the the vent. Also, lights up here, darks down here, really darks over in this section. And that's a video of me. So all of them have a lot of value. You just need to make sure you're seeing it and adding it wherever it may be, okay? So does this make sense in what I'm showing you and how I'm showing you how to do it? Please ask questions if you're confused. Is there anything else you guys want me to show you in doing this process that you think will help you? Yeah, totally. Which one is yours? I think it would probably be helpful for everybody to see it. Yes, Olivia, by the end of it, all of the sections will need to be filled in. So your final, you have a full piece of paper that has your full final drawing, and then all of them will have to be filled in. The one, all blue, perfect. Oops. So this one. So my lights, my brightest colors, my like 1s in our pencil sketch, or the 0s in our value scale are like in here, in these windows. All of these reflections are like a 1, maybe back, or like a 0. Like back here is like a 1. This is probably the same thing. So it's like a little bit of pencil, maybe a couple pen strokes. And then over here, that gets a little bit darker. So this line right here is made because there's a dark shade next to a light shade. This corner right here is made because there's a dark shadow underneath these two lighter colors. So if this were like a 2 or a 3 on my value scale that we made back when we did this at the start, this is going to be like an 8 or a 9. Okay. Another thing that you guys can do, I wonder if you can do it in here. Would it help you, and I just thought about this right now, I don't know why I didn't think about it earlier. Would it help you all if I took these pictures that we have, because there's a couple of them, I think there's only 2 or 3. This one, and that one. Would it help if I took the 3 of those and made them black and white and reposted them to this project? That way you actually have blacks and whites and grays to look at instead of trying to convert blues in your brain.
Yeah. Cool.
I can do that then. I can do that real fast. So if you have one of the colored ones that you're working on, I'll transition them to black and white, and I'll re-put them on there, and that will really, really help. Great point. Thanks for bringing that up. That'll really help to help kind of figure out the color stuff, the value stuff. Cool. Any other questions? So again, I'm going to mark the due date for this for next Wednesday. Okay. We will have school all next week, but we don't have school on Friday. So I'll mark the due date for Wednesday, and then just so I can make sure we have some time to get some other stuff done. But as soon as you finish it, you're done. If you don't have anything to do and you want to go this weekend, you want to kick it out like a day this weekend or something like that, more power to you. Just when you're done, you turn it in. Now, understand, too, that this project is worth more points. It's 5 points, but each point weighs more, is worth more than any of our other projects. So it's really important to get this one done. If you get this one done and turn it in and get a good grade on it, that will actually probably cover up a couple missing assignments that you have. So it's really important to get this done first. But after that, go kick out our missing stuff so we can get our grades all caught up. Sound good?
When is this due? Is it due Sunday or is it due next week?
Wednesday. Next Wednesday.
All right, thank you for that. So we have a lot of time.